All right, so far throughout this entire course, we've used the pd.readcsv method to import CSV files into our Jupyter Notebooks, and we've used all local CSV files. We've also kept them in the same directory as our Jupyter Notebooks to simplify the import process and avoid the use of any kind of complicated syntax to navigate across different directories. Well, as it turns out, in addition to an actual local CSV on our computer, we can also provide the read CSV method with an online URL that leads to a CSV, and it can download that CSV directly into a data frame for us. Now, the benefit to this approach depends on if you have some kind of system, for example, where let's say you have a consistent URL to a CSV, but the data there is automatically updated by the system on a daily basis. Rather than having to go to that page and manually download the CSV, place it in the same folder as the Jupyter Notebook, and re-execute the cell, you can provide something like a consistent URL, and it'll automatically update whenever you run the notebook. The code does not have to change. That's just one example in the kind of scenarios where this might be helpful. Let's show you a real-life example of using the read CSV method to download a data set. So I'm navigated here to the New York City Open Data website, which is just a list of public data sets available from New York City. And I'm going to search for a data set. I'm just going to look for baby names. And when I execute this, we'll see that we have a data set here called Most Popular Baby Names by Sex and Mother's Ethnic Group. It's just a list of all of the most popular baby names that are measured in New York City birth certificates. So on this specific website, and by the way, you don't have to use this one. This is just one example of a random data set and a CSV that I found online. We have this export button on this website. And as you can see from the options down here, we have an option to download this CSV file. So if you can imagine, let's say the data here changes daily, we would have to navigate to this website, find this page, click on this link, download the CSV. But if this link is consistent, we can just copy the link to the direct CSV and just have the Jupyter Notebook download the data directly from there. No need to download. So what I can do here is I'm going to, on a Mac, control-click this. On a Windows, it would just be a right-click. And I'm going to select Copy Link Address. I'm in Chrome right now. And what this is going to do, if I paste that right there, is just give me the direct URL that leads to that CSV file. We can see that it is, in fact, a CSV file right here, rows.csv. In fact, this extra component at the end, we don't even really need. That's just specifying an additional parameter. But here's my direct URL that leads to my rows.csv file, which is being downloaded whenever I click this CSV button. So what I can do is copy this URL. And within my Jupyter Notebook, what I'm actually going to do is store that URL in a variable called URL. So there it is. And now what I'm going to do is do pd.readcsv. And now for the very first argument, instead of giving it a local CSV file and even writing anything local.csv, I have this URL which is linking to a CSV file. So I could directly feed that variable in here. And that's going to connect to that page and download that CSV for us. Now, if I want to store it in a variable, for example, I can store it in a variable called baby names, baby_names, pull that in, and now if I take a look, for example, at the head method, we have a valid data frame that's been pulled from an online data source. So we're going to utilize this code throughout a couple lessons in this module, so just keep in mind that you do want to preserve it for later. But this is just one example of how you can use the read CSV method and feed it a URL argument instead of a local file argument in order to fetch data from the internet and load that CSV content into a Pandas data frame in our notebook.